Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining this second session, which is part of my webinar series on the Qawi Holistic Health and Fitness program. So before we start, really quickly, I'm just going to give a recap of some of the key points from the first session. First of all, just to introduce myself again, I'm Abdur Rahman, but I am the founder of Qawi Functional Fitness. I basically started this organization so that because one thing I noticed is that there's a lot of information on health and fitness, but bringing it all together into one structured and organized program, I felt was something missing. For example, you'll meet a lot of people who are trying to eat very healthy, but at the same time, because they're not exercising or working out, they're very weak. Or you'll meet people who have really good sleep, but then because they eat unhealthy, they don't know exactly what to eat, how to eat, etc. Then they kind of like cancel out all the benefits of their good sleep. So there are a lot of multiple aspects of being healthy, being in good shape, and I wanted to make sure that we're covering all of them, and they're all aligned with each other. So that's why I started Qawi Fitness. Like I said, the goal is basically to provide an holistic approach to staying healthy. In these times when our reliance on modern conveniences has increased significantly, whereas I feel like a more nature-based, program would be better for us in the long term, in the long run. Okay, so basically, what I wanted to recap on the last session was why is this program important for us? And given that this is specifically for simply Muslims, also because we have a lot of people here from ERDC and from Salman Saab's book in ERDC, one thing he mentioned was moving out of urban setups, moving to villages, etc. So I think one thing in common for most of the members in this webinar is that we're all, either we are trying to move to the countryside or we at least understand the reasons for it. And when we talk about moving to the countryside, basically the concept is to align ourselves with nature, and when you align yourself more with nature, what that kind of means is that you need to be more physically equipped. One aspect is definitely the mental aspect, we're used to a certain urban lifestyle. That's definitely one aspect. But what I'm specifically talking about is the physical aspect. Are you able to walk several miles? Are you able to withstand, the heat without much air conditioning, etc.? So that's why any program, fitness program right now is very important. I'm not saying just my program. And again, reducing the dependency on modern conveniences, it's extremely important right now. If you look at our lives, right, it seems like we've started to lose the basic human, elements. For example, when you want to get somewhere, you immediately open Google Maps, right? 20 years ago, when you wanted to get somewhere, you still got there, and normally on time for interviews, for any appointments, but you didn't need an app to drive you to that, right? But now we've kind of switched where, I've lived in Lahore for about 20 years of my life, but I don't know many ways, many routes the way I used to. The same routes that I used to know, I've kind of also forgotten them. कैमरा खोला मैंने है जी सर भी बस वो इंटरनेट के लिए ना कि हमारे इंटरनेट कनेक्शन कुछ लोगों के लिए मसला ना हो तो उसकी वजह से मैंने कैमरास को डिसेबल किया हुआ है अच्छा getting back to this, not just Google Maps, it goes that's kind of more of a mental thing, right? Even physically, right? We need to park right in front of a shopping mall. We're no longer able to walk 10 minutes to a shopping mall or to our children's school to pick them up and then take them back to the car. So we're relying too much on modern conveniences. I'm not saying the modern conveniences are bad. I think there's a good balance that's needed. And for that, improving our health and fitness is very important. The next important aspect is for the sake of our children. I mean two things by this. One is to be good role models for our children. If we want them to be healthy and strong, we need to be healthy and strong ourselves, because it starts at home. Whatever, character development, however we want to raise them, it starts with what we're doing, right? more so than what we say, our actions. And the second aspect is that we need to know exactly the right direction to steer our kids. For example, think of a single mother who's spending her entire day working hard to raise her family, her kids, and then she comes home and then she's maybe giving them cereal with carton milk. So having cereal, she's giving them food that's very processed and packed with sugar, and then the milk is not very healthy either. So no matter though her intentions are very pure, unfortunately, the way that right now health and nutrition has been monetized, it's been commercialized. A lot of things are not as obvious to us or, regarding what is actually healthy for us. And that brings me to the next point. Basically, commercial ventures are out for your and my money. A lot of programs have started with purity of intention, where they actually wanted to make a difference to people's health. But then, when you have 50 employees, when you're trying to make good money, when you have a lifestyle you're trying to maintain, then obviously you need to monetize your audience. And because of that, people lose that integrity that they started off with. So, you might be sold something that originally was, very pure, but now the way it's being sold to you, the way that it's being marketed, doesn't have the same purity. And the last thing is the times to come. In Pakistan especially, we've already seen droughts. We've seen, inflation. We've seen a lot of issues. We've seen a global pandemic, and this stuff is may increase. A lot of scientists right now are predicting that because of global warming, these things are going to get worse. And then also, again, because of commercial ventures, there's a lot of pesticides. Our foods are no longer pure. So we need to prepare ourselves for that. And for that, we need strong immune systems. So all the different aspects that I'm covering are meant to improve our immune systems. Okay, so to begin now, exercise is the very most, I think, my favorite thing in all of my, my entire program, because, there's a lot about exercise. It makes you feel good. You also kind of like make friends. It can be a very social thing as well. And then it kind of makes up for a lot of the issues in the other aspects, like bad nutrition, bad air, etc. Exercise can make up for a lot of that. The importance of exercise. So there's actually a debate regarding, one thing that a lot of people say is that when you sweat, you release a lot of toxins. But it's a debate because a lot of people then say that no, that's not very true. Sweating is mainly just to make sure that your internal body temperature is maintained. I personally believe that sweating does release toxins, but either case, what exercise does, and everyone agrees on that, is that it improves the functions of your organs, your internal organs. It improves your liver's health. It improves your digestion. So it helps you in so many ways that eventually it does help release toxins. We talked about in detail in the first webinar, the lymphatic fluid system in our body, which kind of removes diseases from us and improves our immune system. Again, when we have a strong immune system, then it helps us release toxins. So whether it be through our sweat or whether it be because our bodies are functioning better, exercise will help to detoxify us. Also, it'll keep our body strong and functional. The way this happens is that when you move around a lot, when you put pressure on your body, when you do squats, etc., you're putting stress on your bones and your joints and your muscles, and that strengthens them. So that's why exercise will give you a stronger body. But the caveat to that is you have to realize that different exercises have different goals and they have different outcomes. For example, if you're a marathon runner and what you do is you run slow and you run for 3 hours, it'll develop a different body. If you've ever seen a marathon runner, they're very thin. And if you look at a sprinter, they're only very, muscle toned, really well toned. Normally their muscles are a lot bigger because their bodies are conditioned to be able to take a lot of stress. So different exercises will actually impact you in different ways, and we'll get to that in more detail when we talk about exercise regimes. And the last thing is to keep the mind youthful and energetic. When you exercise, it releases dopamine, which is kind of like it's a neurotransmitter that and it makes you feel good. It improves your mood. It actually is very good for your memory as well. It increases your motivation. So that's why you want to exercise as well. Okay, and this is just three of dozens of benefits that we can talk about for exercise. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to be talking about specific things to do, specific exercises, but I'm going to be talking about the principles so that when you create your exercise regimen, then you know what to look for, what not to look for, what kind of mistakes will prevent you from making gains, and what kind of mistakes or what kind of things you should be doing. The very first principle is muscle-mind connection. What that means is that whatever exercise you're doing, you need to be very aware of those muscles that you're working on. For example, if you are picking something up, right? Can people see my screen? Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so for example, if you are like doing a bicep curl, then what you need to do is you need to be aware of how your biceps are moving when you're curling, and then when you're bringing your bicep down, what kind of movement that creates. When you do that, when your mind is more aware of what you're actually doing, it helps you to prevent injury. It helps you to understand exactly the benefits of your exercise, what you're actually doing, and then also what it does is it's actually it creates mind-body maps. It's a little technical, but basically there's a lot of research being done right now that even if I just do this 20 times, is creating a mental map in my mind that this exercise has certain benefits. So even when I'm just thinking about doing a bicep curl without doing it, it actually activates the same neurotransmitters. So it's very good for becoming more efficient in your exercise as well. What this means for us practically is that when you're working out, do not use your phones. Do not keep checking your messages. Don't talk to people. A lot of people have a habit when they to push themselves, they'll have an exercise partner, but then they'll be talking to that partner constantly. When you're working out, it's only 30 minutes to an hour. Completely focus on your exercise. Do not try, to make it easier. Do not try to, use these distractions. If you need distractions to get through your exercise, then that means you're not enjoying it. Maybe you need to change up your exercise regime. Maybe you need a better workout regimen which you enjoy more. Maybe you need to stop exercising in the gym. Maybe you need to start playing sports or maybe doing martial arts. So that's more internal, but you need to make sure you have that muscle-mind connection no matter what you're doing. The other thing is to minimize rest. So for example, say you do 10 push-ups and then you take a 5-minute break before you do the next 10 push-ups. So what that's doing is that it's kind of, first of all, it'll make your exercises very delayed and slow. The other thing is that it's reducing your endurance. You want to make sure that you can do more in less time. Because when you do that, for example, the reason you exercise, right, is so that you're functional, that throughout your day you are in good shape. If you're here for aesthetic reasons, then I would suggest that maybe this webinar is not for you. The whole point of my program is functional fitness. So if you want to be functionally fit, right, like throughout the day, you're able to move really well, you're able to do all sorts of different movements and exercises, etc., and just even daily live your life free of aches and pains, then you're exercising to translate into your daily life. So when you are, for example, if you need to pick some heavy stuff up and take it from your car to your home, if you grab those bags and you put them on the floor 10 times, it'll take you 10, 15 minutes to just take things from your car to your apartment or to your room. So you need to be able to, you need endurance. You need to be able to, not just physical endurance, but also mental endurance, where you can tell yourself, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'll be holding this load and I won't, give in. I won't let things fall down. So you need to minimize your rest for that. The other thing is, on to point 3 now, is mixing up angles and exercises. What this means is that, again, when you look at a gym, if you look at this picture on the bottom over here, this is extremely mechanical. What is happening here is that this person is going to pick up the weights, bring them to his forehead, and then bring them back down again. But in life, how many times do you think that you'll actually have to use this exercise or this movement, practically? I think if anyone has any, idea, then please do let us know. Otherwise, I think this movement will practically never be used in your life. And that's a problem with modern gyms, right? They're making us very mechanical, and their focus is on aesthetics. Okay, let's have big biceps. But for example, if you're a mother, right, and you have to pick up your kid in one hand, and you are, trying to cook something with your other hand, right? Or, if you're a father and you have to pick up a couch, right, and move it to another room, then these exercises do not come in handy. And I have a habit of using my mouse a lot, so please do make sure you are looking at the screen. So basically, what kind of exercises are yes, Farad, this will be available later. So sorry, when you say video recording, do you mean of this session? Do you mean the slides as well, right?
No, I meant is it a video recording or is it just audio with the slides?
It's just audio with the slides. I think I'll try to, if I need to, if you need me to demonstrate anything when we get to the actual exercises, then I can.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. So basically, what you need to do is try to utilize your body in a very fluid way, all sorts of different angles, because that's how life is. When you live life, when you're driving your car, sometimes you have to pick up something from the floor. Sometimes, you have to pick up something from the back seat, So these are different angles that you don't get to use in the gym, in weightlifting, actually, in traditional weightlifting. I'm not against traditional weightlifting. There are ways to make it more fluid. But the idea is, when you exercise, don't make it too standardized. That's what we do when we want to commercialize and monetize, right? Like I can say, okay, here's a program that I'm selling everyone, and you just have to do these 4 exercises and do it this way. And then I can tell everyone to do this, right? But we're all very unique individuals. Some of us are 5 feet tall, and we have certain disadvantages, but certain advantages. Like people who are 5 feet tall are more likely to be car racers. Normally in racing, people have petite bodies. Okay, they can reach for something, but they have certain benefits. There are certain sports in which, having a shorter height is better for you. And then when you're taller, then it can help you, for example, in basketball. So, we're all very unique and we all use our bodies in very unique ways. So we have to understand that. And the best way to do that is to try all different types of sports, try all different types of movements, and borrow from all of them. Okay, on to point number 4, no ego training. So what is ego training? Does anyone know? Does anyone have any ideas?
Is it for looking good? Like जो भी आप exercise कर रहे हैं, it's more for appearance than for health and fitness?
So that would be aesthetics. That would be for aesthetics, right?
Would it be like increasing the number of times? So I have done something like, for example, I started off with 10 push-ups and now I get 20 and 25 and 30, and that's my target.
So actually, it's like it's a very good start. What Amna said is very true. Basically, ego training is when you're comparing yourself to someone. That's basically the gist of it. So sometimes to someone, and sometimes it's comparing yourself to yourself. So basically, for example, when I'm in the gym, right, and or not just the gym. For example, even if you're walking in the park, and you see, okay, oh, this lady is walking way faster than me, and you start walking faster, thinking that, oh, why can this person do this better than me, right? So that's what ego training is. That's what we have to avoid. Because again, what I just said in point number 3, we're all unique individuals. Why should I, if I'm not very bulky and big, maybe I can't pick up as much weight, okay? But if I'm, thinner, then there's certain advantages that I have. So you don't want to compare yourself to others and then decide how to work out. You want to work out based on your individual needs, your individual unique talents that Allah has given you, and also the weaknesses that you have. And the other aspect of ego training, sorry, Sana, you had a question?
I was just about to say that it can also be comparing yourself to yourself. because maybe before you were training a lot and you could do much more, and now you took a break, and then when you're returning to gym, then you can't go to that same level, but because your ego cannot accept it, you just push yourself and you don't follow your body, but that can lead to injuries.
Exactly, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was about to say. So that's when you are comparing to yourself, and that's where and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? There needs to be a balance, and there needs to be a reason why. Like the Holy Prophet said, right? Okay, your ego is worse than 70 devils. So the point is that when you are doing it, to think that you are, okay, memory cheese on that. Okay, yes, I am great. I am, I am better than people. I am, you're trying to base your success on your worth, on how you work out, etc. Then that's not healthy. That can never be healthy, because based on Prophet's sermon, right, Friday sermon, one of the things he said is that you're better than others based on your taqwa, based on your piety. That's it. It's not on wealth. It's not on anything else. So for me to get a boost in my ego because I can run faster, it's not a very healthy, kind of mindset. And where it's good is, for example, to push yourself. That you say, okay, now I want to run a marathon within 2 years, right? So that's a very good thing. That's more goal oriented, right? But you have to be careful that those goals don't then define your ego. So that's what you have to be careful of. Okay, the next thing is thinking long term. What this obviously, I think this is straightforward. It means that the results you're looking for are not going to come in 1 month, in 2 months. And that's a huge, huge problem, because most of the exercise programs out there are designed for 1 to 2 month results. The reason is because a lot of people, when they're paying money and then they're in an exercise regimen, right? They want to see results immediately. Like if I'm giving someone money to teach me how to train, right? If I don't see results in 1 month, I may not pay them the next month, right? So because again, it's tied to livelihood and commercialization, then a lot of the programs that people make are actually going to be short-term oriented. Okay, how quickly can I make that person burn body fat? But in burning that body fat, are there any harms to that person? For example, if you over exercise for long periods, it actually reduces your testosterone levels, which is not good for any man, right? But maybe that's not what an exercise program is going to teach you, because they want to make sure that in 6 months you look huge. So and then maybe you guys have seen this on YouTube as well, transformations, where we have a picture of one person thin, and then 3 months later I look like this. This is a huge, very common, marketing technique. That okay, 2 months before I was like this, 2 months later I'm like this. That's actually not how it works. You'll get injured in the way. Life happens. Maybe in the middle your kids get sick. You're not able to follow through on your program, etc. So you never ever want a program that gives you or that promises you results in 2 months. Because honestly, for my clients as well, I've told them clearly that don't even imagine those kind of results before 3 or 4 months. You'll just start seeing the beginning of those results. And even in martial arts, if we talk about realistically, right, like more functional kinds of training programs, martial arts, etc., it takes a long time. It takes you maybe 1 year to move from one belt to the next. And that's why martial arts, the results are incredible, but they're very long term. And the problem is that because we have all these programs promising us short-term results, we don't trust those long-term programs anymore. So no matter what program you do go for, make sure it's long-term. Make sure that it has a good, genuine, foundation to it. It has very strong principles behind it that you're following. Just one example, I'm starting a group training session, and one of my friends who I was telling about this, he said, oh yeah, I did this 42-day program, 42-day boot camp, and I would, love for another program like that. And, he did this, he told me about this 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, he did a program, and it absolutely exhausted him. He was, tired all the time. He pushed himself through those 42 days. And definitely because of that, he maybe looked a little thinner, right? But he lost motivation. His body was aching. He could not continue with it. And 4 years later, he's my friend. I love him, but he's in worse shape, right? And he's still in that mindset that, oh yeah, I need that one program that gets me through everything. But that's a mirage. That's all just marketing scams that are being used against us. In reality, what we need is maybe what he could have done is walked 30 minutes a day and done 20 push-ups and 50 squats for those 4 years. I can guarantee you he would have been in much better shape than doing a 42-day boot camp. So find programs that are more oriented towards the long run and have very strong ancient principles behind them. Okay, moving on to the next principle, breathing. We already covered this in detail in our first webinar or first session. You need to focus on your breathing because again, breathing is the foundation, right? So when you are working out, don't try to breathe too hard. It puts too much stress on your body. When you punch, you breathe out. Always remember that. When you pick something up, you breathe out. There are certain techniques to breathing, which you can even look it up online, or you can contact me personally. I can discuss them with you. But your breathing during your workouts, during your exercise, will make your exercises way more efficient. Okay, and then breathing through the nose, if possible. If you're not able to breathe through the nose while working out, that means that you're working out too hard. That means that you're pushing your body too hard. And again, when you do these things, actually, just going back to the previous slide as well, when you minimize your rest, when you mix up angles, when you are not training, ego training, when you think long term, when you do all of these things, and when you focus on your breathing, it reduces the amount of exercise you can do. But actually what it does, it makes your exercise more effective, and in the long run, it gives you better health. So that's kind of the, because we've become very, it sounds, conflicting, but the reason behind it is because we've become very short-term oriented. We want results immediately, right? Like if you think about 20 years ago when you were using the internet and you had a dial-up connection, right? With your telephone, right? And you would click google.com and it would take 10 seconds to open. And then you would click best exercises and it would take 15 seconds to open. And then you would maybe open a video and it would take maybe 20 minutes to download, and we were okay with that. That day that it took 10 minutes for a video for me to download, Eid ho jati thi, right? It was like Christmas, or it was like Eid for us. But now it's kind of like, no, why isn't it open yet? Why isn't it opening in high resolution, right? So because of that, our mentalities have also become short-term. That's why even our exercises, it happens in every part of our life, right? Where we want immediate results. So again, I'm sorry, I'm saying it again and again, but it's just such a deep concept. It's so deep-rooted in us right now that we look for short-term results, that it keeps harming us. You might hear all of this and tell me, yes, everything you're saying, Abdurrahman, is true. And the next day you go to the gym, you go work out, you're going to be doing everything based on short-term results, because that's just how our lives are right now, right? Even in our organizations now, employees have quarterly goals. Before they had annual goals. Now every 3 months, their metrics are seen to see how well they're doing. So moving on then, focus on form. So what that means is that you want to make sure that every exercise you do has the right form, has the right technique. And this is the concept of quality over quantity. Again, I think it's, it all ties together. Everything I said before was also about quality over quantity. You do a push-up, you need to make sure your shoulders are not flaring out, your elbows aren't flaring out, because that puts unnecessary stress on your shoulders and your elbows. And you'll do that, maybe because of that, you'll do 20 reps where you could have done 10 the right way. Maybe you'll feel a little stronger, but then I can guarantee you after 2 months, you'll have an elbow injury and you're going to be saying, oh yeah, I'll have to wait 3 months to start exercising again. And then you're going to keep, there's a tendency for people when they talk about their health, always looking back in the past. Oh, I was in great health when I was in college. Oh, I was in great health when I was doing O-levels. Oh, when I used to be in school, I used to run really fast. The thing is that our daily lives, are ruining our health, and our health will only get worse and worse and worse if we're not mindful about it, right? So you want to make sure that whatever you do is risk-free. Yes, I can. Let me just show you right now. So for us asking if I can show the correct way to do the push-up. I'll just do that really quickly. I'm just gonna have to So can you all, actually I'll have to do a full view. Give me 1 second. Full screen view. Okay, you can all see my screen, right? Okay. So basically, and please speak up if you can't see me or you need to ask me a question. So basically, when you push up, and I'll show you several different angles. First of all, what you want to do is that you want to make sure your elbows are turned out. Okay, so that gives you flexibility. Because okay, I've talked about moving in different angles, but at the same time, our bodies have certain mechanics, right? Like a car has certain mechanics. So you need to make sure your body is aligned to those certain mechanics, right? So first of all, you see here, my elbow will come out, or the back of my elbow will be towards my body, right? And then what you want to do while doing the push-up is that you want your elbows to stay close to your body. Okay, you don't want to do this. This is the most common mistake you see people doing. They feel their elbows out. And the reason for that is because most people are so weak now, unfortunately, that they're not able to do a proper push-up. So when a lot of people will do this and they'll be doing this, this is the push-up for them, right? And this will make them feel good. Tasali zarur ho jayegi. Like they'll definitely feel self-assured that, okay, yeah, I did 20 push-ups. But in reality, they're hurting their health. They're actually doing worse, bad for themselves, because when you do this, and if you just want to try this as well while you're doing this, when you do this, it puts extreme pressure on your shoulders and your elbows. Okay, so you keep your elbows in. Okay, now having said that, because you want to do all different kind of angles, you can do this. You can keep your elbows, you can keep your your hands wide, as long as your elbows are still towards your body, right, towards your waist. That's fine. You can even do this. You can do one hand here and the other over here, and same concept. Okay, so that's one angle. The other angle that you want to make sure you do is that you don't want to have your glutes inside too much and then be doing this. You don't want them to be outside too much. Actually, you can do this. These are certain kind of exercises, but if we talk about like the full form perfect push-up, you want your back straight, okay, and you want to go down slow. That's the big thing. Go down slow, hold over here, and then explode out. What this will do, it'll be a full body exercise. By going down slow, when you go like this, right, what you're doing is you're actually using your momentum. So you're making this exercise easier for yourself. But when you go down slow, you take your time to go down. Now this is called time retention. Your muscles are being used constantly. And then when you hold, you're forcing your muscles again to hold you up and then explode up. So this is kind of like what a military push-up is. And you can look it up online as well. But basically the concept is that when you do this, you won't be able to do 30, 40 push-ups. Like I remember when I used to be able to do 45 push-ups, 48 even. I think I even never got to 50, but I got into 49 push-ups. But it was quick, it was all shortcuts. So when you're not focusing on your form, you're basically, what you're doing is that you're using shortcuts. And when you use shortcuts, it creates muscle imbalances because you're working against the mechanics of your body. Does that make sense? So when you're working against the mechanics of your body, then eventually something's gonna happen. And when you don't use your body in the right angles, then it creates imbalances. Okay, because what you're doing is you're forcing your body to do something that maybe it's not naturally meant to, or maybe your body isn't ready to do it. That's the other aspect of it. And then those imbalances, like maybe one arm is being overused. We know a lot of us have stronger right hands than left hands, right? And that's a problem with doing, again, lifting weights. Now you're holding a bar, right? And now when you're holding that bar and you're doing a bench press, right now I'm just doing a tricep bench press. I'm kind of showing that, but you might be using your right arm more to push it back up, right? And that's creating more imbalance. And eventually what happens is that, and that's the beauty of our bodies, the way that Allah has created us, that you might have pain in your foot which results in, or an imbalance in your foot, which results in, pain in your neck. So one day, because of your body constantly, you're kind of like turning your body this way to do a push-up or something, and I'm exaggerating. Because of that, you might feel some pain in your spine. And you might be thinking, oh, why is my back hurting? Maybe because I sit all day, maybe because I'm doing this or doing that, maybe because that day I picked up my kid. Those are not reasons. The reason was 3 months ago. What you did for 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden it resulted in you, getting that injury. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like, a baby isn't born the 9th day or the 9th month when that baby comes out into this world. It took 9 months for that baby to get born, right? So in that same way, you may be doing things with your body the wrong way for 9 months or for 3 months or whatever. With exercise, normally it even takes just 3 or 4 weeks of doing things the wrong way to, do enough damage. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Okay, so no matter what exercise you do, I would recommend going online, looking at the right way to, right way to do things, right? And again, because it's not mechanical, that doesn't mean you can only do it one way. Okay, you just need to understand the basics, and then after that, when you get advanced, there's a lot of crazy things you can do. Like you can look up lizard crawls, gecko crawls. There's a lot of really tough things that people do, but they always have strong foundations. The foundation, like if you ever heard of Michael Jordan, and if you ever heard of people talk about Michael Jordan, they said that his strength was that his basic movements were flawless. And even in martial arts, right? You see a round kick, that round kick, to get to that round kick, that person needs to do horse squats for maybe 3 years to get to that strength that they could do a round kick. So that's what form is about. Okay, slow twitch muscles versus fast twitch muscles. Does anyone know what those are? No, okay. So basically, slow twitch muscles are those muscle fibers that are used when you are moving slow. They're activated. So basically, your muscles have, most muscles have 2 kinds of muscle fibers, slow twitch and fast twitch. When you're, for example, running really fast, then your body is relying on fast twitch muscle fibers, which they're more explosive, they can generate more energy, but they get exhausted really quickly. And then when your body is doing something slow, then it's using slow twitch muscle fibers. Like for example, when you're walking, right? So it doesn't take so much energy, you can do it for an hours, right? But then you can't do it too much. Like the moment you go from walking to running, you have switched from slow twitch to fast twitch muscle fibers. The reason I'm bringing this up is because you need to work on both. Some people will, do things really well slow, but then, the moment they need to do something fast, they'll injure themselves. Or some people, this is the most common one, they lift weights and they're really big and strong, but when you ask them to hike for 20 minutes, they can't. They just get really, they run out of bed, within 20 minutes. So that's why it's very important to, for example, mix it up, do some running as well as lift some weights. Okay, then fix your weaknesses to increase your potential. So I'll ask a question. If you have a chair, right, and there are 4 legs to a chair, right, and you have to take it from my house to, for example, the park, and then you're going to assemble it there. Okay, we take apart the chair, and then we have 4 legs, right, and we take it to a park, and then we reassemble it so that someone can sit on it. So I give one person each 1 leg of the chair, right? So, for example, I give one to Sana, I give one to Farah, I give one to Amna, and I have one myself. So let's say me, Farah, and Sana get to the park in 2 hours, and it takes Amna to get to the park in 6 hours. How long will it take for us to assemble the chair?
6 hours.
6 hours, exactly. Right? Does that, it makes sense to everyone, right? Because basically, what I'm trying to say is that no matter how long quickly one person was able to do it, until everyone gets there, right, and puts that chair together, that chair just won't be ready. So in the same way with your body, you need to focus on those weaknesses that are holding you back. This is very important because what normally happens in workouts is that people, like, maybe they're very good at leg exercises, maybe they have strong legs, but they're not able to do pull-ups. So then they kind of like skip the pull-ups. They kind of say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And especially in sports, you'll see that happening. That we're okay, yeah, I can do bowling really well, so I'm not going to do batting. That's maybe a bad example because that's specialized. But even for a specific person within a sport, right? Like I'm a basketball player, right? So I can dribble with my right hand really well, but I'm not very good with my left hand. So okay, I'll just use my right hand more, But even Michael Jordan, actually, again, talking about him, he had that problem where they used to force him towards the right, if I'm not mistaken. And then he had to develop the capability to also move towards the left to score. And that made him stronger. Soccer example is better. Okay, soccer, how would it apply to soccer? You're saying weaknesses. Okay, I can see that as well. Again, I'll say right foot versus left foot. A lot of people are able to kick really long, really hard with their right foot, really accurately, but then they don't focus on their left foot, But when you're playing soccer, again, the defense will pull you one way, and if you don't have a strong left leg, you won't be able to pass, they'll steal the ball from you really quickly. So in general in life as well, but yeah, I think especially for exercise, for getting in shape, make sure your weaknesses are holding you back. And if you don't hold your weaknesses, focus on your weaknesses, eventually that will result in injury as well. Like right now I was talking about sports, right? But say that you have a stronger right arm and you're not focusing on your left arm. Again, what's happening is that because of your overuse of your right arm is getting more wear and tear. Also, it's putting a specific kind of pressure and stress on your spine, which is just one way, okay? So because of that imbalance in your body, because we're supposed to be symmetric, right? Because of that imbalance, you'll eventually get injured. Yeah, especially, that's a really good point as well, Sana. Upper body versus lower body. That's also, again, like I said, maybe you're really good at running. Maybe you can do a lot of squats, but then the moment I tell you, oh, do some push-ups, you're not able to do them, right? So then you kind of avoid those. But even for, let's say, a housewife, who's doing squats and who's walking already in the park, because she's not doing that upper body, she's gonna feel pain when she has to pick up the kids, when she has to do dishes, for example, when she has to do any chores at home, because that upper body, and we talked about this a lot in the first session about posture, right? Because that upper body is bending down constantly, right? Because you don't have the strength in your upper body to keep it straight. So then eventually that'll lead to injury as well. Okay, moving on, body awareness. So what that means is that it's tied to the very first concept, muscle-mind connection. But what I mean here is that, for example, when you walk, do you know if you're breathing from your mouth or from your nose? How long are your strides? Are you one of those walkers who keep their hands, who are using their arms to walk as well? Or do you keep your arms straight? Is your head low or is it high? And then the same thing with workouts. When you're exercising, do you close your eyes when you're on those last 2 or 3 reps? Do you close your eyes and make a face like you're either about to die or you have to go to the bathroom really bad? Or what kind of things are you doing? Are you aware of that? For example, a martial artist once told me that when you exercise, you never want to close your eyes because that shows that when the going gets tough, you're not able to bear it. For example, if someone is, choking me, right? And I'm not going to close my eyes, I'm going to, try to grab those hands, etc., right? Talking about self-defense in specific. So we need to be able to understand how our bodies are moving and then correct those faults that we have. And it's not just about correcting those faults, also understanding the philosophy of what we're doing. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm going to skip the other 9 exercises because principles, because it'll take too long. I'll really go straight into the best exercise regimen for men and then women, and then specifically for the countryside as well. So any good exercise regime will start with a good warm-up, because when you warm up, you get the blood flowing. You make sure that those muscles are stiff. Stiff muscles, when they're used in flexible ways, they'll get injured faster. So warm-up will really help you, avoid injury. And then what you specifically want to work on is mobility. So there's a difference right now. What everyone knows is flexibility, right? Flexibility means that, oh, I'm able to pick up my hands and keep them really high in the sky, right? But Flexibility is more static. It means you can hold one position for a long time. What mobility means is that you can use your body in different angles, while you're moving. So mobility is more about movement. It's about having flexibility while moving. So when you warm up, you want to make sure you are moving your body around, okay? You're loosening up all those muscle fibers, all those stabilizing muscles, okay? Mobility, like having a good mobility workout is very good for you. No matter what you're doing, no matter if you're a swimmer or a martial artist, you lift weights, you should add either one entire session on mobility or add it to your warm-ups. That's very important. And then, Gianna?
Please, can you repeat flexibility again later on after you're done?
जी, तो बेसिकली जो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है ना, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी का मतलब है कि फॉर एग्जांपल आप अपनी टांग पूरी हवा में खड़ी कर लेते हैं, ठीक है? जिस तरह ये आपने देखते हैं यहाँ पे ये बाई को, इन्होंने अपने हाथों को इतने अपनी टांग को बिल्कुल सीधा रखा हुआ है और ये वाली टांग यहाँ पे है. ये फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है, ये बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल बंदा है, ठीक है? मोबिलिटी क्या होता है कि क्या ये मूवमेंट करते हुए अपनी टांग को बिल्कुल सीधी कर सकता है? मसलन जिस तरह मैं आपको दोबारा आपको कहूंगा, जब आप कोई भी काम करें ना लाइफ में, आपको मल्टीपल एंगल्स यूज करने पड़ते हैं. अब आप बच्चा उठा रहे हैं जमीन से, ठीक है ना? अब क्या आप उठाते हुए, या मैं आपको इसे बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल देता हूँ, क्या आप अपने तस्मे बंद कर सकते हैं झुक के नीचे? ये सबसे बेसिक एग्जांपल होता है कि ज्यादातर लोग अब वो नीचे झुक के, जब तक वो जमीन पे नहीं बैठते या जब तक वो किसी कुर्सी पे नहीं बैठते, वो झुक के अपने तस्मे नहीं बंद कर सकते. तो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी क्या होगा कि हाँ, इस बंदे ने अपने टांग को सीधा कर लिया, उसका हाथ यहाँ तक टच कर रहा है उसके जूते को. ये योगा में ज्यादातर जो प्रोग्राम्स है ना, वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी पे फोकस कर रहे हैं. मोबिलिटी क्या होता है कि हाँ, मैं उस मूवमेंट, उस पोजीशन में आके मैं मूव भी कर सकता हूँ. ठीक है, परफेक्ट. अच्छा, moving on now. So when you warm up, and I think 10 minutes is a good warm up, you can start going into jogging. I would recommend this for everyone because we need to build endurance. We need to be able to undertake physical stress for 15 straight minutes. For example, again, if you're really strong, you have big muscles, big biceps, big back, and the moment you start walking up a mountain, you need a break after every 5 minutes, you're not going to get very far, right? So you need that stamina. You need to be able to, do things for longer. So that's muscle endurance. So for that, jogging is, I think, my favorite kind of exercise. I recommend it here 15 minutes a day, or if maybe you're doing martial arts, etc., you don't have that time, 3 sessions of 30 minutes minimum. And then strength training. Here are 4 different options I put. If you can afford it, if you have the time, I would say do all of them. If you can't, maybe you select one. I think the best is always martial arts, self-defense. And then, or for example, swimming, both are based on the sunnah. Sports are good for, also focus and body coordination, etc. It's a social thing. But basically, I would say look into 4 of these. And okay, let's say you're doing martial arts, right? Or you're doing swimming. And you can't afford to do, or you don't have the time or the money to do all 3 of these, right? Martial arts, swimming, and sports. I would say still do strength training. Like once a week or twice a week, you have to do strength training. The reason is, like I said in the beginning, when you train your body for strength, it puts pressure on your bones, on your muscles, on your joints, which strengthens them. Over time, they adapt to being stronger, to being bigger. Strength training, can you suggest specific exercises? I think that'll take too long. I think I've actually covered certain exercises. Let me just, I'll cover a few exercises, but I think generally the principle is that, it needs to be compound. And I think I covered that. Yeah, I'll get into that, what kind of things we should be doing. Right now, I'm just talking about in specific, what's the overall structure of your workout that you should be doing. And if you ask me, I think 4 to 5 times a week, 5 times if you have the time, 3 times if you don't have the time, 3 times is enough as well if you have the right exercise regimen. And then cooling down. Cooling down, again, when you cool down, you release muscle tension, because when you use your muscles, right, can you share the presentation later for the slides you're skipping through? Sure, yeah, I'll do that as well. Okay, So going back to the exercise regimen, right? So cool down. So basically, when you cool down, whatever stress, muscle tension you've created, but basically what you're doing when you're exercising is you're tearing down muscle fibers, and then they grow again and they get stronger over time because your body adapts. So if you don't cool down, if you don't let your body relax, it'll be stiff the next time you work out. It'll take longer for you to get back to like your normal state, and then it also increases the chance of injuries. So a lot of people I notice they'll do a good warm up. They'll even do a little bit of jogging. They'll do their strength training, and then they'll skip their cool down because they're getting late. If that's happening, that means that you need to cut down on your strength training or your martial arts or whatever, and then add in the cool down. Even 5 minutes is enough if you know the right exercises. Like I would recommend doing downward dog and doing child's pose, those kind of exercises. Okay, this is the difference between a warm up and a cool down. When you warm up, you want to be active, you want to be moving around, you want to be fluid. When you cool down, you want to be static. You want to hold a position for a long time. Because, and this is kind of what a lot of studies have shown, is that when you hold a position for 30 seconds or longer, then more blood is obviously going to that area, and it kind of speeds up the healing process. Exactly, yeah, stretching. It's both are stretching. There's a difference between dynamic stretching and static stretching. So when you do a warm-up, you want to do dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching is, for example, even a light run is kind of dynamic stretching, when you're moving your body around. A cool down is when you're just doing a yoga pose, for example, like you're on the floor, so that's a difference. Planking is actually, it's not a good cool down exercise because in planking, you're generating a lot of strength to hold your body up. And again, it's recruiting a lot of muscle fibers. So I would say planking is not a good cool down exercise. It can be a finisher, for example, like, okay, now I'm done with my exercise regimen. I have one last exercise. I'm going to do a 2-minute plank to exhaust all the energy and to strengthen my core. Or for example, maybe you can do like a 10-second plank, 20-second plank, just to depending on your fitness level. Like I would do a 20-second plank. I would see that as a fine warm up. A cool down. But certain people, for them, that would be part of their exercise regimen. But in general, no, I would say planking is not a good cooling down exercise. Okay, and then Sanola Bhai, one thing that he said is breathing exercises. That's actually a great thing. We already covered that in our breathing session last week. But normally what I do with my clients as well is that after we exercise, we do like a 10-minute cooling breathing session as well. We just do breath work. It calms down the body. It activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is related to, being relaxed, and then also what breathing also does is that it improves your oxygenation of your muscles, which again helps in healing as well. So definitely breathing exercises during your exercise and especially breathing exercises after, they're great. Nida is asking, how much later can we take a bath, eat after cool down exercises? Okay, taking a bath, I think you can do immediately after. For example, you might know about ice baths. A lot of athletes, after they have exercised and after they cool down, they'll go and take an ice bath. They'll just sit in a tub full of ice. So taking a bath is not a big problem. I think definitely, I would say maybe wait 5-10 minutes because I think in Ibn Qayyim in Medicine of the Prophet, I think he talks about after exercising, you shouldn't immediately eat. You should take a break. And also with showering as well. Temperature shock is, it's actually, in some ways, it's good for you. Because when you, give yourself a sudden shock, it actually activates your immune system better. It actually gets your body more aligned with, it kind of makes it stronger. It kind of improves your immune function. It gets your body used to being able to take shocks. So it's not a bad thing. Actually, if you heard of Wim Hof, that's what he's teaching, right? It's like what you want to do is take a cold shower, focus on your breathing when you're taking a cold shower so that your body, gets used to the idea of acclimating itself. Even like exercise, what you're doing is you're getting your body used to a certain kind of pressure. In the same way, yes, when you are breathing slow. If you're breathing fast, then that's not going to happen. Then you're not going to be activating your parasympathetic nervous system if you're, breathing hard and fast. Because I've seen a lot of people when they're taking cold showers, they feel a lot of pressure and they can't take it, so they think that breathing fast will help them. But actually, what breathing experts teach is you need to breathe slow. The slower you breathe, the better it is. So, but yeah, overall, I would say taking a shower afterwards is fine. Maybe wait 10, 15 minutes. And eating, I would say maybe wait 30 minutes. Let your body, because don't, like we talk about multitasking, right? And it's actually task switching. It's not really multitasking. You don't want your body to be doing several things at one time. Your body will be very efficient when it's doing one thing at a time. So let your body cool down, let your body relax, let your body, get the maximum benefit from its exercise, and then go towards eating, because now your body's going to have to digest that food. Now your body needs to focus on that, if that makes sense. Okay, now best exercise regime for women. I made this difference because, culturally, there are a lot of women who do the same exercise regime as I've said for men, and by all means they can do that if they have that fitness level. But especially speaking from the perspective of Pakistan, it's a reality that we have to face that women, unfortunately, are not as in great shape, and they're not, they're not given that opportunity either. Actually, in a lot of ways, women are in great shape. They're giving birth to children. They're taking care of these crazy kids all around us. But in certain kind of, functional aspects, women are behind in men, especially strength. But strength, again, is very important because it keeps your bones strong. And whether you're a man or a woman, as you get old, your bones weaken. So you need a minimum level of strength, right? Before I start this question, Sana, after a meal, how much time to give as gap before exercising? Okay, that's a really good question. I was actually going to cover that in nutrition, but I would say it depends on what you're eating. For example, if you're eating a proper meal, like you're having a proper lunch, roti, salmon, etc., then I would say wait 3 to 4 hours. If you're eating, for example, just a slight, like a sandwich, I would say maybe waiting an hour and 15 minutes. It all depends on how quickly that meal is digested by your body, right? Because if you're having meat, right, and you're having a lot of protein, and you're having milk, your body needs time to digest that. And again, now if you exercise, you'll feel bloated. But if you're eating food that's quickly digested, and that actually it doesn't interfere with your body, normally it's just means a light meal, then you can start exercising sooner. If you're having a banana, you can wait 30 minutes. Normally what I would do, or some of my clients like doing, is having a few dates, 1 or 2 dates, 10 minutes before exercising. That's fine as well. Also drinking plenty of water while exercising. But again, I'll cover that in nutrition. Okay, for women, again, same concept. You want a good warm up, and you want to have, you want to be mobile. Please, especially for women, this is way more important for women. The reason being that men, if they're not as flexible, but they're strong, that they can get away with it. Because here's a difference, and it gets a little scientific and technical. I won't discuss it in too much detail, but when you have stiff muscles, you're able to build a stronger foundation. And that lets you, for example, when you have stiffer muscles, maybe you can punch harder, or maybe you can pick up more weight. Okay, but when you're moving around and you need to be fluid and you should be doing several different things, you need more flexibility and mobility in your body. So that, I think, applies more for women. Sarah Imran has shared a workout: 1 minute jump burpees, 10-second rep, 1 minute burpees, 10-second rep, 1 minute burpees. So, and then total 10-minute workout, 2 minute dead bugs. I think this is a good exercise for strength. Definitely, it's a compound exercise. But I would say that if you have to breathe through your mouth doing this, you're breathing really heavy, then I would say maybe increase that rest. I would say 1 minute jump burpee and then 1 minute rest, or 30-minute jump burpee and 10-second rest. It all depends on how fit you are, what your level is, and then how much you can do. Because again, you have to understand that the foundation of your body is your breathing, right? So you might, again, look in good shape. You might maybe be able to do things better, but it can also result in long-term, kind of complications for you. The 2 minute dead bug is perfect. I think these are called finishers, ending any exercise with a tough endurance kind of workout is perfect as well. But these exercises that are based on just 10 minutes, I think they're based on the concept. Why do these originate? Because people don't have as much time. I think that's not a very good way to design your workouts. I think you should give yourself around 30 minutes. And then here's another one, 30 jumping jacks, 10 squats, 10 burpees, 10 mountain climbers, 10 forward lunges, 30 crunches, leg lifts, crisscross, 10 scissors, 10 Russian twisters, 30 wall push-ups. This is pretty good for beginners. Again, I think it depends on how much break you're taking in between all of these. Overall, these are all really good exercises. Like the thing I liked about all these exercises, they're all compound. You're using your entire body to do them. You're not saying that, oh, okay, I'm only going to use my legs or I'm going to use a machine. So in that sense, they're really good. One thing though is that you want to, I said that you have to focus on different angles, but you also want to make sure that one certain area in your body is developing. So if you only do 10 squats, right, that won't develop strong legs. So maybe you want to do 50 squats, maybe you want to do a couple more, sets of squats. But overall, it's a really good, I'm just being nitpicky, I'm sorry, because you asked me, but overall, it's a really good routine that you're sharing. What would be a simple strengthening routine for women? Okay, I'll get to that. So I talked about mobility, again, jogging and brisk walking, and then so now I'll get to strength training, which is point number 3. When you're doing, for women, I added brisk walking. Even men can do brisk walking, but for women, because I think, again, to the fact that maybe some women aren't that fit yet that they can immediately start off with jogging. Brisk walking, what that means is that you're walking really fast. Like say, for example, you see a grocery store and it's about to close, right? Or you're going to your office, and if you're 2 minutes late, they're gonna cut your pay, and you're walking really fast. Now you don't want to run because people are going to stare at you, but you're walking with a purpose. That's a good way to think about brisk walking. Brisk walking means that you have, you're moving your body, your arms are engaged, your body is engaged. That's a brisk walk. And again, what I've seen a lot of people do when they walk is that they have a partner and they're constantly talking. Please do not do that. One, because when you do that, you're going to be breathing through your mouth a lot, which you shouldn't be doing. Number 2 is that you're not going to be able to focus on your body, and you're going to slow down your pace as well. When you walk, when you exercise, please only focus on your exercise. Your partner should be aligned with you that, okay, for 30 minutes, we're only walking. Okay, maybe during our cool down, we can talk during our warm up, but for those 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, you need to be focused. So you cannot use your phone. I would recommend also not, listening to music or even an audio book, etc. The purpose is just to get working up a sweat. And then I would also say for women, don't be afraid of jogging in the public, even if you're in Pakistan. I might be wrong. If people are offended, I'm sorry. But I think that, I've seen women who wear proper abayas, etc. And it's not very revealing, and they're jogging. And I think that's very inspirational. Ji Sana?
मुझे ये पूछना था कि along with jogging, जैसे jogging से आपका एक मतलब heart rate ज़्यादा बढ़ता है, and it works on more muscles compared to when you're walking. तो अगर uphill walk कर रहे हैं, for instance, जैसे अगर आपके there's a place where you're walking and there's a uphill, so do you think that that would also give a good workout? But what I wanted to also ask you is कि when you come downhill, तो उसमें sometimes I've noticed कि जब when I'm doing downhill, तो my knees start hurting. So is there like अगर मैं 30 minutes uphill downhill कर रही हूँ and it's a steep hill, so is that okay to do, or it should be avoided?
No, that's perfect. It's again something I'll cover in the next slide, but the more, again, it goes back to the concept of mixing up angles. So because when you walk, right, if you think about it, right, जब आप पार्क में walk कर रही हैं या unfortunately हमने क्या कर लिया, हमने फिटनेस को ना स्टैंडर्डाइज कर दिया है. आप किसी भी पार्क जाएंगे तो वहाँ पे एक ट्रेल बना हुआ है, वो नरम सा ट्रेल होगा जिसपे सारों ने वॉक करने हैं, वो बिल्कुल फ्लैट है. बट जब आप माउंटेन्स में हैं, जब आप विलेजेस में हैं, इवन जब आप किसी सड़क पे चल रहे हैं, ठीक है ना, वो ऊपर नीचे होता है, कभी आपके पैर नीचे पत्थर आ जाता है. So when you walk uphill, downhill, when you walk on uneven surfaces, basically, it strengthens your muscle stabilizers, which is going to give you stronger ankles and stronger knees and a stronger back. So that's perfect. Uphill walking is really good because it simulates mountain training. Because when you're a mountain, you're also walking up, so it recruits more muscle fibers. It puts more stress on your body. It actually helps you develop better stamina. The thing about downhill walking, maybe you can cut down on the time, because if you think about it, if you've ever hiked up and down mountains for long periods, when you're going downhill, you normally have to, you turn your feet right or left, use different angles. So you're not used to just going down a straight path, So maybe that's why your muscles are feeling aggravated. By the way, the other reason for that is because we're not used to declined walking. So your muscles are getting used to a new kind of stimulus that they never felt before, which is why they're in pain. So I would not discourage it. A lot of times that pain is just introducing new stimulus to your muscles. But if that pain isn't going away, or it's too bad, too extreme, then I would say avoid that exercise or cut it down. For example, if you're walking 20 minutes uphill, just do a 5-minute downhill. If your knees aren't hurting, that's fine. Do that for 2 months. And then maybe after 2 months, start doing a 10-minute downhill. Again, it's all about being long-term oriented, right? You don't want to do things that, okay, again, ego training, etc. Okay, I can do 20 minutes uphill, 5 minutes downhill. Why am I getting to that 10-minute downhill yet? It can take time because this is something that our bodies aren't used to. Because, for example, like when you're walking upstairs, you get that uphill stimulus again. You also get it when you go back downstairs, but maybe you're holding a railing or something, so it can be different. But overall, I would say that whatever, if you're feeling knee pain going uphill, then try to cut down that time as well. Just let it come over time. A lot of people who exercise, for example, when they do planks, they might feel a little bit of back pain. What that means is that their backs aren't used to it. So what you want to do then is you want to cut down the amount of time doing planks, unless that pain isn't going away. Then you might have some more serious problem, in which case I would say just stop doing planks. Giamna?
I think you did mention, but I was just confirming that when you're doing brisk walking, so there's like the concrete path, and some of the paths have the natural, I don't know, we can't call it sandy, but I think that's the idea, the natural ground. So is it better for both walking and jogging to do it on the sand area rather than the concrete area, or that doesn't really matter?
Or better on what rather than concrete?
The natural ground, just around the lawn, which
I think both have their place, because the thing is that in reality, right, we do have to walk on roads. So you can't say that, oh, I can, because actually, personally, I came to a point where I would only walk on grass, or I would only use very thin shoes. But then when I would try to walk 30 minutes on the road, my feet would hurt. So you need to do both, right? So you don't have to do both, but like naturally it comes with it, right? When you walk on the street, you're naturally getting that stimulus where you get used to a hard surface. The benefit of this uneven surfaces, lawns, grounds, etc., is that, like I said, your knee has to stabilize itself, and that develops the muscles around your knee, the joints, and that makes stronger knees. Okay, I think I'm going to try to wind up this exercise session within 10 minutes because it's already been over an hour. So for women, strength training, really important. I think the best thing, self-defense, martial art, it's best thing that you can be doing because it's very functional. Swimming as well as if you can do a sport. And then I already talked about cool down as well. Okay, some exercises. Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly go through this. I am 40 plus and I've never been able to do proper push-ups or pull up myself on a gym bar. Should I target to develop this strength? My arms literally shake when I try to do push-ups. I don't think it's necessary. I think what you can focus on is maybe snow angels. I think we talked about in the last session where you lean against a wall and you do these. Again, remember that mobility is a lot more important than anything else. Like being able to move in different angles After that, after you have that mobility, you can even just grab weights and then do snow angels, and that'll also start developing strength. So I would say that, and then you can do ball push-ups. Push-ups is not necessarily a very important. Actually, I don't really prefer push-ups. Personally, I don't do a lot of push-ups. I prefer crawling because it's a very compound exercise. I'm not going to get into the detail because that's more advanced stuff, but I don't think this push-ups are necessary. I think if you can do, again, snow angels, if you can do wall push-ups, you know, if you can do planks, that's a very good, you know, that's a very good regimen as well. And then also, like you mentioned, burpees, etc. Sorry, I don't think that was you who mentioned burpees. That was Sana Hanif. Should I target? Oh yeah, and then also pull-ups. I don't think you have to do pull-ups. I think it's very important for everyone to just hang. Just grab a bar and just hang for 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds, maybe more time to get to 1 minute. The reason for that is because it loosens up your shoulders. It strengthens every angle in your shoulder. It strengthens your forearms, your fingers, and it decompresses your spine. Because what's happening when you're hanging is that your spine is loose. When you're on the floor, your spine is kind of like, you know, it's compressed a little bit. And because we're so used to sitting now, our spines are compressed too much. So one way to, you know, counter that is to hang. So I would say pull-ups aren't important, just do some hanging. And if you want to, like, you can grab a bar. People who actually don't want to do pull-ups and they don't have the strength yet, grab a bar from the top and then slowly go down. Because if you don't have the strength to do the pulling movement, the down movement is a little easier. Like you can grab a chair, you can get on the chair, you can pull, get up and then go down slowly. And then over time, you'll be able to do a pull-up as well. Okay, so some things that are great so because we're all talking about moving to the countryside and stuff, right? Carrying heavy weights, it's very natural that you need to pick up something, you know, pick up a ton of fruit, maybe for example, pick up something and move it from one place to another. Carrying heavy weight is really good for you. It's good for your core as well. There's actually a very famous exercise called the farmer's walk, where you grab a weight in one arm and you just walk, and it develops your core. Pull-ups, again, pull-ups or hangs would be good. And then the reason for this, and maybe this is a little too specific, but it's, you know, if you're ever climbing a mountain, if you ever need to, or at a spot where you need to, you know, climb a tree or something, it's good to have that pulling strength. Soldier crawl, this is used in the army where you're on the floor, you know, and you're on your stomach and you crawl on your elbows and your knees. It's a complete body exercise. It's extremely good for your spine, for your back, and builds endurance. That's something I think that everyone should be doing. I make my clients do this a lot as well. A lizard crawl, knuckle push-ups. Lizard crawl is like this. It's really advanced. Again, it's good for developing overall muscle body coordination. Knuckle push-ups are good because they develop strong forearms. They develop very strong wrists. And if you like punching, etc., they also help with that because when you punch, you can injure your your hand, and these knuckle push-ups actually help you be able to bear more stress. Shoulder press, right? Shoulder press being able, for example, if you're in the countryside, you need to pick something up in the air, you know, and then kickboxing or punching bag, again, to develop that punching strength, etc. Hamid bhai, what are some good exercises to assist us with tree cutting and wood chopping with an axe? If you can buy, if you can just get a like heavy, what we call a stick, for example, they're called clubs. They're also called, I think, maces. There's different words for them. You can buy one of those and just maybe like have a piece of wood or like a foam and just grab it and then mimic that exercise. That's one good way to do that. Or like I said, these exercises, this lizard crawl, basically what are you doing when you're chopping with an axe, right? What you're doing is you're using your obliques. If you ever give it that motion, you're using your obliques and your upper back, along with other things, but you're using your obliques and your upper back to do this motion, right? So any exercise where you have weight in your hand because an axe is heavy, right? And you have to use a lot of force. Any exercise when you're moving like this, right, which engages your obliques while moving, like not side planks, because side planks engage your obliques, but at the same time, there's no movement. So any exercise where you have the movement will develop those that kind of movement that you're talking about, tree cutting. So this lizard crawl would be a good option. There are other things as well you can do. Off the top of my head, I can't remember right now, but there's a lot of stuff you can do for your obliques. Even the soldier crawl, Hamid bhai, would be really good for that. Or another thing you can do is grab a ball and just throw it on the floor really hard. That'll again like kind of mimic that movement of, you know, if you have to like do the straight X rather than, you know, the side. If you have to do that straight X, then what you're doing is you're using again these muscles and you're using your upper body. So if you grab a football, for example, and you say that I'm going to throw it on the ground as hard as possible, it'll develop strength in that in your obliques. If you can get a medicine ball, like a heavy ball, and if you have a gym where you can just throw it on the floor, that's obviously better because the medicine ball is going to be heavy. Okay, moving on. Best exercises for the lower body, for the countryside, like we talked about trail running, because that's just how the countryside is, right? It's uneven. Lunges mimic walking up a mountain. So that's why lunges are really good. Step ups with weights, again, they mimic walking up a mountain. And if you have weights, then it's kind of like you have load. Like normally when you walk up a mountain, you have a heavy bag, right? Especially if you're backpacking. So step ups with weights will help with that. Jazakallah. I'm using car tire for this exercise. Is it okay? Car tire is car tire is the opposite. When you're doing the tree cutting, right? You're doing it down. So car tire is the opposite. It's kind of like more of a pushing exercise, whereas tree cutting is more of a pulling exercise, if that makes sense. So what you want to be doing, what you can maybe do, again, pull-ups would be helpful. Okay, what you can do is you can do a pull-up, and rather than going straight up, you can do typewriting. For example, do an A or do a B while doing your pull-up. Like when you're going up, do this, and then going down, do it the other way. So that'll develop a lot of strength in your obliques. Okay, Bulgarian split squat. This is to develop strength in your glutes. Horse squat. This is, I think, every human being should be doing this. This is incredible for developing strength in your legs. All martial artists, you know, not all, but a lot of the martial arts use this. Kung Fu, you know, even sumo wrestlers, etc. They do a version of the horse squat where you just, if you can look this up as well, you just, and I'll just show you really quickly, like you kind of like do this and you hold this position. Develops strength in your thighs, develops flexibility, and again, it's mobility because you're holding a flexible position and you need to hold yourself up. So it'll develop those joints really well in very important areas. Single leg deadlift. So the difference between a deadlift and a single leg deadlift is that the single leg deadlift is focused more on the hamstrings, which is very important because the back of your legs, they're often neglected. But they're those muscles that if they're strong, they help you walk forward, right? They help you move forward, and then they help you prevent knee pain. Sprints are very important because, for example, you need to run away from someone, you know, and then core training. I don't know, I mean crunches, but what I mean from that is like a farmer's walk where you have a heavy weight in one hand and you're walking. Or for example, doing a plank or hollow holds if you're into gymnastics. There's all sorts of core training that you can do. You can look it up as well. I think that's okay. So really quickly, exercise goals. So we talked about the principles, right? Like how you need to work out. What are the goals you have? A lot of people don't have the motivation to work out because they don't even know what their goals are. Like if your goals are to, you know, for example, if your goals are to look great, I want to have a six-pack, you know, but for example, you're already married, right? Now, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? Like maybe you don't have that motivation anymore because if that makes sense, you know, that's why a lot of people work out, right? To attract people from the opposite sex. So then you kind of lose that motivation, right? And then over time, that's not gonna, you know, keep you going, right? So what you want to do is have goals that are really meaningful for you, you know, and then exercise. For example, like Hamid was saying, I want to cut a tree, right? So when Hamid is doing those exercises that give him that same movement or strengthen him in that area, he's going to want to do those exercises, right? But at the same time, if Hamid is going to the gym and making biceps, you know, doing bicep curls, he might eventually get bored. Okay, you know, I worship communities all the time anyway. Who's going to see my biceps, right? So you have to make sure that your goals are aligned, right? So some of the goals you want to have, mobility, again, being able to move in all different angles, that's just a basic human need. Balance is important because our bodies are symmetrical, and beauty is actually, a lot of beauty lies in symmetry. A lot of art students will tell you that. So when your shoulders are not like this, but balanced, right? When your lips are, for example, balanced. So in the same way, your body, when it's balanced, and I'm not talking about this for aesthetics, but because when your body is balanced, then it gives you better body control. Also, it prevents muscle imbalances, which cause injuries. Which again, everyone please keep in mind that when I talk about injuries and the muscle imbalances, I'm not talking about for exercise. I'm talking about for your life, for way into your old age. A lot of people, the people who like have this issue, it's because of muscle imbalances over time, because they use laptops so long, so now they have a muscle imbalance, they're not able to keep their muscles up anymore. Coordination, like for example, if you like playing sports, you want that high coordination. Speed, again, if you're playing sports, endurance. I think, again, basic human need. Anyone should be able to walk 5 miles, no problem. And, again, say there's floods. We're actually experiencing this in Pakistan right now. Floods are happening, maybe your car breaks down or something. You need basic endurance. Strength, again, is very important. Again, it's a basic thing, right? Maybe I need to pick up right now. This room I'm sitting in, I need to take out the bed from this room, move to another room, right? I need the strength to be able to do that, reflexes, basically, again, that's kind of like more towards sports, and then explosiveness, which is different from speed, because speed doesn't necessarily, some people when they start running, they generate speed over time. Some people, when they run, the moment they run, they're very fast. And this maybe is more relevant to people who play sports, but there's a huge difference. Like if you want to punch someone, your speed will matter, but your explosiveness will matter more. The last thing I'll say about exercise is that exercise is it's just one aspect, but really the aspect is activeness. Make a habit of being active. That's way more important than 1 hour of exercise. If you think that you can be inactive for 23 hours, sit on a couch for 23 hours, and then work out for 1 hour, and you're going to make up for all of that inactivity and bad posture, it's just not going to happen. That's just a reality we all have to live with. You want to be active all the time. What that means is, for example, doing chores at home. You want to walk to the grocery store. You want to pick up things yourself. I'm not saying get rid of your mates, but you want to do things at home more. So living an active lifestyle, parking your car 5 blocks away, walking to get your kids, walking back with them. So that's a lifestyle we all should be maintaining. I feel when we are physically healthy, our mind performs better too. Exactly. Absolutely. I think I covered in the beginning as well, that when you exercise, you release more dopamine. And that's a neurotransmitter that kind of, promotes motivation, it promotes attention, and it promotes energy as well. When you feel more energetic, your body definitely feels better. And it's not just psychological, it's also physical, right? When you are able to do a movement that you weren't able to do before, that made you tired, that made you run out of breath, obviously you're gonna feel better doing it. Okay, so that's it for exercise. I'm gonna stop the recording, drink a little water, and then start again, so that when I upload, then I can divide the exercise and nutrition into 2 different sessions. So just give me 1 minute.